Brian Dement from Chippiness Podcast. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today on the podcast, we have Jaden Rae. Jaden's the founder of Steamy Kitchen, a site dedicated to mindful living and food-based wellness. She has authored 2 best-selling cookbooks and is currently writing a book on microdosing psychedelics. We'll get into that. I'm a novice, don't know enough, but we'll talk about it. Her 17-year-old site receives 8 million page views from over 500 unique visitors each month. She's also a regular contributor on the list and daytime television shows. Jaden, welcome into the show. I know it's been a little bit of a wait, but looking forward to our conversation.
I can't believe that I talked to you about a year ago. It was almost a year ago, and I'm so excited to finally sit down with you and talk about, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's wide open. I mean, I've been blessed with my podcast being booked out, both of them for almost a year.
Congrats. That's huge, Ryan.
It's huge, but it's also overwhelming. So we could talk about a bunch of stuff with that. But this is not about me. It's about you. So before we get into psychedelics, because I'm a novice, let's talk about who you are. And then we'll talk a little bit more about what you're doing.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so we chatted briefly about a year ago, and it's in that year I've done so much more. And I've got the book that's been published. We had produced a major event here in Las Vegas around psychedelics and psychedelic healing.
Oh, wait! I totally forgot you're in Vegas. Whereabouts?
I'm in Henderson, just a little bit.
Oh, you're an East Sider. I forgot about that. We got problems.
Oh no, you're in Vegas too?
I lived in Vegas for 15 years in Summerlin.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm in Arizona now, but I had 2 stints in Vegas and both of them were in Summerlin.
Oh my gosh, you've got to come back. I got to take you out. Let's go dancing. Let's go partying.
That's cool. I totally forgot you're an East Sider. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, okay. So just, real quick about me. I've been a food blogger for 18 years. This is the 18th year of steamykitchen.com. I started this blog before Pinterest was born, before Instagram was born. And this really dates me, right? Before the word social media was a thing, before the word influencer was even born. So I've been doing this for a very, very long time. Fortunately, with a little bit of luck and longevity, the site's still alive and well. We have 2 different things on the site. We do product giveaways and sweepstakes, as well as recipes. And so we kind of combine the 2. I have a whole team that helps me run it. But, have you heard? I'm sure you're familiar with Tim Ferriss and the 4-Hour Work Week.
Of course.
Yeah. So I built steamykitchen.com as a 4-hour work week and years ago. And it's still thriving. So I'm very happy. And that has given me the mental space and the emotional space and the financial space to pursue something that I truly love, which is psychedelic healing. So that's why there's the food. Is Jaden a food blogger and a cookbook author and a television chef, or is she specializing in psychedelic healing? That Steamy Kitchen business has given me that freedom to pursue other things. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about anything you want to talk about.
Well, let's go right into the food. So you call it Steamy Kitchen. Is it steamy because of hot, or is it steamy of something else?
Well, here's the funny thing. When I first started 18 years ago, I had to come up with a URL that wasn't taken. And also, Steamy Kitchen was sort of a nod to my mom. It was every time. My mom loves to cook, and she, her love language is food. So every day there was always something, simmering on the stovetop. And so I chose Steamy Kitchen as a nod and appreciation for my mom. But then here's the funny thing is when I first started the site, I started looking Google Analytics, and people were searching for other things to get to me and coming to my site being really disappointed that it wasn't porn in the kitchen.
That's good.
So I guess, it kind of served its purpose. It was a good marketing tool.
So when you first started the site, I mean, is it because I understand it's passion, you've got lots of it, but what else was driving it? I mean, what got you into the space?
Oh my gosh, the original, the superhero origin story is I had just moved to Florida, a little tiny town in Florida from San Francisco. Okay, San Francisco is like the culinary mecca. Like this, you've got so many amazing restaurants. And then my ex-husband and I moved to this little tiny town in Florida, and I was at a to-go restaurant. I was at a restaurant called Bangkok Tokyo in Florida, and I was like, waiting for my to-go order, and I spied someone on the corner of my eye sitting at the sushi bar, and she was talking on her cell phone really loudly, and she was saying, "Hey, meet me. I'm having sushi at the Chinese restaurant." And I'm like looking up, Bangkok, Tokyo is not in China. And what the heck is Bangkok, Tokyo together? It's kind of like having a restaurant called France, Germany, you know, like it doesn't, in San Francisco, you would never have a mashup like that. Yeah, you would either have, you know, Thai food or Japanese food. There's no, you know, mishmash of it. So I got so upset. I was like, where did I move to? You know, what is happening? And my ex-husband then said, well, we're not moving anywhere else. So you got to make the best of it. And that's when I decided, you know what? I'm going to start teaching cooking classes. And with zero culinary knowledge, I've never even worked at a restaurant before. Cooked up a plate of fried rice and my mom's egg roll recipe, brought it over to a culinary school. And I said, this is my resume. I have no other resume other than here, try my food. And they hired me right on the spot. And that's how Steamy Kitchen was born, was out of that frustration and, you know, that whole. And so I started teaching cooking classes. I started teaching people the difference between fish sauce and soy sauce and the difference between, you know, Japanese food and Chinese food.
Hold on, I got to back up. People don't know the difference between fish sauce and soy sauce.
Right. Yeah. Back then, it's 18 years ago in a small town in Florida, you know.
Okay. What's the small town in Florida? You put me.
Okay. It's Bradenton, Florida.
Oh, yeah. I know where it's at.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a different experience, but that, you know, I could have just sat and just, you know, been depressed about it, but, you know, decided to do something about it. And that, you know, started teaching culinary cooking classes and started, you know, putting my recipes up on a website, called it Steamy Kitchen. And, you know, within just very short amount of time, I started getting offers, book deal offers. So I got 2 really good cookbook offers. I started doing television and, you know, whole entire business was born.
I really have got to ask, because you're in that passion lane, you're in that happiness lane. From the time you started it to where you started getting book deals and so forth, how much time and effort were you putting into the site and in getting things up and going to where you started seeing some fruits of your labor really pay off?
Well, you know, back then we didn't have the University of YouTube the way you know it today, you know. You know, to learn new skills really required some digging and some time and hours put in. Like I had to teach myself WordPress, but not just that, recipe writing, recipe editing, food photography, food styling, videography, you know, photo editing. I didn't have money to have a team. And so, you know, I had to create my own shortcuts to learn. And, you know, one of the shortcuts that, but to answer your question, it was, you know, I was obsessed with learning new skills. And, you know, I got a book deal within 6 months of the blog. And I you know, that comes from a little bit of luck as well. The timing, food blogging was so new back then, right? And, you know, it was a fresh voice, a fresh face. And we're talking about something, you know, earning money from a different mode other than going to a restaurant and working, you know, hourly shifts. So, you know, I specialized a lot in teaching people how to build a blog and turn it into a business, because that's exactly what I did. So it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of obsessing.
How much time do you put into it today?
I'm down to maybe like an hour a week. I did get it to a 4-hour work week where I was only working just a handful of hours, and it kind of just ran by itself. And the reason why is because recipes are pretty evergreen content. So you create a recipe one day and I can earn money from it for quite a bit. Actually, my highest grossing recipes come from like 10 years ago. So, you know, it's definitely an asset. And yeah, just, you know, being able to, you know, let the business kind of run by itself.
So when you went to the cooking school, was that your full-time job and the website was your side hustle?
No, I didn't really care about making money from teaching. I didn't care about making money from the book deal. I considered those, and I don't care about making money on television. My money comes from advertising on, you know, I have an ad agency that handles the traffic on my blog. And I viewed those things like the cookbooks as a marketing tool. Being on television is a marketing tool. Cooking at at a cooking school, teaching at a culinary school is not just a marketing tool, but it gives me credibility. And so, I focused the first chunk of business strategy around building credibility very, very fast. And, when you're a teacher and you're an instructor, that gives you almost an instant win to be on any television show and makes you an expert in something. So, putting my time with, teaching how to teach people, learning the skill of how to take something complicated, maybe like wok stir frying, and breaking it down to make it so super, super simple for anybody.
So for those that are listening and they want to become an expert in a space, what could be 3 nuggets you could share with them?
Oh, I love this question. This is one of my favorite questions because.
Wait. That's not a unique question to me. We got to back it up and find something new.
Well, no, it's, I think one thing that I'm really good at is learning skills very quickly. And how I got that skill was from Steamy Kitchen, needing to learn how to write recipes, how to, teach, how to do television. Like, can you imagine? My specialty was live television. So I would go to a television studio and we have these 3 giant robotic cameras that are on wheels. And this is live morning show news. And, I have to, in 4 minutes, I have to finish a dish, talk on camera, look pleasant, interact with the host, keep an eye on which camera, do this live. And then sometimes I can hear or see visually that the producers tell me to wrap it up and I'm not even done yet. So balancing all those things is actually a very difficult skill. And how I developed skills is what I call the 3 M's. The 3 M's are mimic, mirror, and then make it your own. So the first M is mimic. If I'm going to develop a skill, I'm going to look for someone that I really respect in the industry and someone that I can glean some information on. Back then it was Rachel Ray. I love the way she interacted with the audience through the television. Her energy was infectious, right? And then there was also the poise of Martha Stewart. And then there also the relatability and, being able to tease out great content from Oprah. So I took each of those people and I said, okay, what can I mimic from them? And, so that my body knows. And so mimic is just that. Like, I'm full on mimicking every little movement that they do. And then that mimic becomes, once I become a little more comfortable with those movements and, the way Rachel kind of smiles at her audience and relates to her audience through the camera, then it becomes almost like a mirroring because I start to add my own flair to it. And as long as my body's comfortable, then I know that my confidence will follow. And then the last part is make it your own. Once you're so comfortable, you are your own style. But it starts with, borrowing someone else's superhero cape for just a moment.
Okay, we go through all that. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper now. So unfortunately, I say, excuse me, I say this a lot on the show. We have this instant gratification culture we're in.
Yeah.
Social media has created that, not saying bad, good, or indifferent. It's just where we're at. How do we overcome that to be able to take your 3 M's and apply it to whatever we're trying to do? Like a good example for me is, and this is just something that popped up that's been on my radar for 24 months that I finally got done, is I've been working on a nonprofit. I know nothing about the nonprofit world whatsoever. But I want to run it like a for-profit, like my other businesses, but people tell me, no, you can't do it. So when someone tells me no, that means yes.
Right.
I just have to find a way. But what I'm trying to say is there's people out there that want to, I guess a good example is be the best person in their space. Let's say they're a salesperson or something to that extent. I mean, how do we take that? How do we take those skills that you just talked about and really work them into our daily lives? Because it's going to take time to get there. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. And we all have some type of fear. Like maybe people fear making cold calls or getting on camera like you did. Did you fear the camera when you first got into live TV?
Yeah, it was so intimidating. These robots, these massive cameras on robot wheels, and then you don't know which one's lit. You've got to keep your eye on that. I'll say that the 3 M's for me is the shortcut. It's either, you've heard the 10,000 hours. I don't have 10,000 hours to own a skill. And if I pick out the very best from who I want, I create I called it my imaginary board of directors. I couldn't afford a board of directors. So I was like, you know what, Oprah, you're on my board of directors. You don't know it, but you are. And then I would just constantly ask myself, like, what would she do in this situation? If I was thinking just like, whoever one of your mentors is, what decisions would they make? But more importantly, what's their thought process? And I'm going to just absolutely just mimic them until I can start developing the confidence of my own. Ryan, I always say, like, your body first, mind follows. And to me, that means, let me give you an example. Like when you first learned how to ride a bike when you're a little kid, you didn't wait for your mind to say, oh, I'm okay riding a bike. This is fun, and I'm confident. No, you're somebody put you on a bike and said, go, and you're pedaling, and at first you're like, oh my God, this is so scary. This is so scary. But after a few rounds, you're like, hey, okay, I kind of got this. My body is first. My body is feeling comfortable. Then my confidence kicks in. And pretty soon, after a few more rounds, you're like, okay, I'm a bike rider now. So I think a lot of people think that you have to change your mindset first, and then you will be. I'm the opposite. I'm like, make your body move, do the things that happy does, right? And do the things that other people who are successful are doing, and your mind will follow.
You just said a 4-letter word, happy.
Yeah, I know, right? 4-letter.
It's a 4-letter word to people because they don't understand what happiness or happy is. But when you're using the example of riding a bike, think about where we're at in our age. What are we learning to ride a bike? Like 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, right around there?
Like around 4, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm an early achiever.
No. I'm trying to dive deeper and down this rabbit hole.
No, let's do it.
We have no worries in the world. We haven't been, as I call, jaded with all the different things within the world. How do we you say your body, I agree with you, get your body to move and go. But there's times where I know people, and being able to get your body to move before your mind is ready to go is tough. How do we get back to that space to where
it's actually tougher at trying to get your mind to go first. It's kind of like going to the gym, right?
Well, no. I'm saying for your body. I mean, I agree with you. Getting your body to, once you start doing something, you're going to get into that habit. It's oh my God, the book, I read it like 3 or 4 months ago. Oh my gosh. Something on habits. Oh my God, and he stacks habits. I'm so bad. Anyhow,
James Clear?
No. Oh my gosh. Michael Kowalski is, I'm mispronouncing his last name. Oh my gosh. It's going to come to me. But anyhow, we have to stack those. How do I want to say this? We need to stack those actions to be able to build a win. We have a problem getting to the stacking part, as in to get to the starting line to move.
Yeah. You know what I'd say, Ryan?
That's where I'm at, is how can we get there, and how do we push past it?
Right. And, sometimes this is tough love. I'm a mom of 2 teenage kids. I'm like the queen of getting someone to do something that they don't want to do. Right. Tough love, man. Just got to do. This separates the men from the boys, right? The people that are so, have trained themselves so hard in, waiting for the right moment, or waiting for happiness to come, or waiting for inspiration, right? And my message is take action, just do it. You want to be happy, do happy. Before the moment I pressed, that link to come on your podcast, my dogs were running around. I had so many things to do. Laundry was undone. There was chaotic in here, but I have to do, I have to show up. And so I've just trained myself to say, what do I need to do right now to show up right now? And, this isn't about me. This podcast isn't about me. This podcast is about your audience. And, it's my job to provide some value to them. And there's no way I can do this if I am not doing happy, if I'm not doing giving, if I'm not doing generosity. And, it's just, I know it's not the answer a lot of people like to hear, but.
No. But it's a truthful answer, though. And that's where I'm at, on the podcast in life. That's where you have to be at. I mean, whether you're an entrepreneur, W-2 employee, or whatever, mom, you're going to fail in life, but it's about that failure and being able, the old adage, to get back up. But how can you do it better the next time? And the best way to describe it is we've lost that sense of, I want to continue to go forward, because if I don't succeed on the first try, I'm giving up.
Right.
And that just, the best way to describe that is it really pisses me off because it's like, man, you're wanting to do something, but you're not going to put the effort into it.
Mhm.
And then you expect to be a millionaire overnight because you put out one TikTok video.
Yeah.
What
No.
BS is that?
I absolutely agree. And sometimes it helps to think about things as, things go in cycles. So, learning goes in cycles. And when some adversity happens or some challenge happens, you have to flip it and say, okay, this challenge has happened. This is a start of a new cycle instead of an
Mhm.
end of an old cycle. And so when you reframe it as a beginning of something, it's a little less intimidating, right? And you get to create whatever outcome that you want. That's the game. Is how do
Yeah.
you take this challenge and turn it around to your advantage and find the golden nugget? And that's your job, is to find the golden nugget, and instead of kind of wallow in misery. That's no way to live.
It isn't, but there's a lot of people that do that. But we can keep on going down this rabbit hole. I want to go to the next topic so I can be
Yeah.
edumacated, as I say. Okay,
Well,
psychedelic.
actually, this
Let's
this
let's.
next topic actually is a great transition, because people ask me, like, how did you get to the point where you can just be happy instead of constantly doing happy?
Uh-huh.
And that was psychedelics. That was microdosing. I discovered the power of psychedelics about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And a friend said to me, here, I asked for coffee, because obviously I'm a coffee drinker, right? And I was at his house and I asked him, hey, I would love some coffee right now. Do you have any coffee? He goes, no, but I'll be right back. So he goes downstairs to the lobby, grabs me coffee, and he comes back with just one cup. And I was like, oh, where's your coffee? And he goes, I don't drink coffee. Here's my coffee. And plops down a mason jar full of dried mushrooms. And me being so naive, I had never tried mushrooms before. Me being so naive, I'm like, what are you going to do? Like make ramen soup or miso soup? That's your breakfast. No, and then he started me down the rabbit hole of microdosing. And so I did a deep dive. I'm like, okay, I don't have my personal drug dealer. I know microdosing really does work. I don't know where to get it from, so I better learn how to grow. And so I just, University of YouTube, I just started, watching people learning how to cultivate. And now I'm like a mushroom cultivator. It's the coolest thing. But definitely, microdosing that with psilocybin gave me that, that groundedness that sometimes I was missing in my life. Now it just is part of who I am. It's just, it gave me the space. Someone described it very well for me. It lengthens the calm between the storms. And I thought that was a beautiful way to describe microdosing on psychedelics.
Okay, let's do psychedelics 101. So what are some of the benefits of doing this? Or do we call this microdosing? I mean, you tell me.
Well, the difference between a microdose and a macrodose is one's going to be, trippy, and the other one is more like a vitamin. So if you're on YouTube or you're watching this podcast, this is a magic mushroom. This has psilocybin in it. This is freeze dried instead of dehydrated. And this is, I think this is a hybrid, penis envy hybrid. So kind of looks a little phallic, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you're actually growing those?
Yes, I am. I learned how to cultivate because, like I said earlier, I didn't have, my personal drug dealer, and I didn't know where to get my medicine safely. These days you don't want to buy things from people that you don't know, right? So I thought the best way for me to learn is to just grow myself. And it turned out, it took me a while to get a successful harvest, but once I did and I figured out the keys to growing, now I grow to give away. I don't sell. I give. This is medicine for me. And the difference between a microdose and a macrodose is this. And if you're watching, I'm gonna show you. This is a macrodose. This will trip. This will make you trip, right? And this is a microdose. And
Okay.
I'm holding up a piece that is about the size of a pencil eraser. And here's the funny thing, Ryan. I don't think a lot of kids these days knows what a pencil eraser is.
They probably don't, and they don't. I actually have something to say on that. I don't think they know what a pencil sharpener is either.
No, is that crazy?
That's sad. That is really sad. Just like when I could be talking to people and they're like, what's a journal? Because I journal every morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's where my pen hits my paper and I start writing.
Right.
And they're like, they look at me like I've got 4 heads.
Isn't that crazy? Anyway,
it is.
yeah.
So that's the size of a pencil eraser, and you just
Yeah.
chew it,
And,
you eat it,
no,
swallow it.
I'll put
What?
these, I'll take the mushrooms and then I'll, put them in a little spice grinder and then put that in capsules. I'll weigh it out and put that in capsules. But, typically like this is a microdose for me. It's so small, so tiny. And it's what we call subperceptual, meaning like you don't feel it. If the most you'll feel on a microdose should be like a little bit of uptick in energy and maybe a little tingling on your skin, but that's it. If you feel any more than that, then that's too much. You want it to be able to, you're not going to even notice it. It just like, kind of at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I kind of had a really good day today. Or wow, I had a bad situation happen and I was able to flip it really quickly. And that's it. And if you feel any more than that, then the next day you got to back off. So it's more of like a vitamin, and it helps with your serotonin. It helps with your groundedness. Have you ever known anyone that has microdosed or have done mushrooms?
Oh yeah, I know plenty of people who did mushrooms back in the day. I'm a '70s child,
Oh my
so
gosh, you
so yeah,
too.
the trips that they went on, sure.
Yeah.
So I get that piece. I mean, for me, I used to do CBD oil, and I found with CBD oil, it wired me too much, and adjusted it back and forth, whatever. But I've gone to a different diet now to where I'm kind of more, not kind of, I am kind of, I'm carnivore. I eat meat, but I also have organs in my diet. And
Mhm.
that seems to help me out a lot in focus. But I know with the stresses of businesses, podcasts, and so forth, there's times I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, my mind is racing. So if there's something else that can help me, I'd be willing to look at it. I don't know enough about this, so that's why I'm a novice and I'd have to
Yeah.
research.
So let me tell you a little bit about microdosing. There's many types of psychedelics that you can microdose on. In fact, you can microdose on things that are not psychedelic, like coffee. Like you sometimes at 3 p.m. I would need like a half a cup of coffee. That's called microdosing as well. So some people microdose on a vape, on THC, sometimes on nicotine. But with microdosing, most people microdose on one of two things, and it's psilocybin, which is magic mushrooms, or acid, which is LSD, and they feel completely different. They're completely different. Like mushrooms, you feel like if you imagine you were a tree, a big tree, microdosing on mushrooms makes you feel like you're growing deeper roots. So you're more grounded, you're more focused, you're more steady, you're more sure in your decisions. And it's just, it slows down the pace a little bit. And microdosing on acid is almost completely the opposite. It's like growing more branches. So it's expansive, it's creative, it's connecting of ideas and new ideas and new possibilities. So it's a very different feeling. I'm someone that responds better to something that's more grounding. So when I microdose on acid, it's because I am very specifically planning my day because I know I'm going to need a little bit more creativity or I'm brainstorming ideas. So I'll be very purposeful in when I'm, microdosing on acid. But generally, every day is 100 milligrams of this pencil-sized eraser size of psilocybin mushrooms, and it just gives me that extra groundedness.
So it took you some time to be able to grow them, get it right. Is this being done in your backyard?
No, like you can do it in a shoebox under your bed or in your closet.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I have it in the office in a little shoebox, and that's it's not that difficult to grow once you start learning. As long as you can keep clean the first few steps and keep sterile, then it's actually pretty easy to grow mushrooms.
So the law, on this, where is it at? I mean, I know you're in Nevada, you're not an attorney. We got all those
Right,
disclosures out of the
right.
way. I mean, but where's
Not legal.
microdosing? Yeah, not legal.
This is not legal. I had decided, like, when you're doing something like this, and you can either be super stealth, or you can be really loud about it and be an advocate. And if you're the people that always get caught are the ones in the middle, right? So I decided like this is it has helped me and changed my life so much that it's my duty to stand up and say, to provide information, especially safety information. Like I said earlier, like there's so many people selling, crap online, and you don't know what you're getting. There's drug test kits that you have to make sure that you utilize, when you're sourcing things. So, I want, the education that I provide now is on magicandglow.com. But, I wrote a book called A Microdosing Guide and Journal. And this helps people on their microdosing journey when they're starting out. And it's a daily journal that helps you track your dosage, what time you took it, and then throughout the day. When did you get hungry? Did you get tired? How was your sleep? How was your happy level? How was your stress level? And the only way you can, track improvement is if you track. So, that's why this microdosing journal is so important.
Wow, there's a lot to uncover here. We've already hit 30 minutes, but we can have a little bit more, and then we'll have to land this. But I guess so. My first question is grounding. A lot of I can say yes, I can use grounding, but how could we effectively use this in our daily lives? I mean, could you provide an example of somebody that's struggling with something where microdosing would come into play that would really help them?
Yeah, alcohol. I used to be an alcoholic I was an alcoholic for like 27 years. In fact,
Okay.
one of my first jobs was with the world's largest booze company. And on the third floor of the building was a bar that was open every day at 5 o'clock. And you were encouraged to go and drink, to sample all of the different types of liquor, that the brands that fell under their umbrella. And so very early on, I became so addicted to alcohol and became my escape. And I used psychedelics and microdosing to help me completely 100% quit alcohol. I tried everything to quit, and even naltrexone, pharmaceutical medication that they give to people addicted to opioids. I tried naltrexone, and that didn't help. And it wasn't until my husband gave me my first DMT experience that I came to, and I just looked at him. I'm like, I quit alcohol cold turkey right then and there. And the microdosing on psilocybin and also microdosing on a couple other things definitely helped me get off of it just made me more aware of my own body, connecting to my own energy, and, being able to sit through the hard feelings. That's the key Ryan, so many people want to avoid the hard feelings, but the only way, the only way past it is through it. So, the microdosing on psilocybin gave me that energy to be able to sit through the tough stuff.
The tough stuff, man, that's a whole nother podcast we could go through. I mean, that's truly what life is about, is getting through the tough stuff and getting to the other side. And if there's something that can help you get there, that's huge.
Yeah.
But it has to, I mean, I guess research 1, 2, but it also has to work for you. But you have to take action. Yeah. And I think that's what you're saying is you got sick and tired, and then you got to that point of I'm done. And then this helped you get over that hump.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep saying, do happy, do healing, go find the answers, go take the action. Happiness is a verb. Gratefulness is a verb.
It is.
Gratitude's a verb, not a noun, not an adjective. It's a verb. You have to do it in order to have it. Yeah. So the theme, I guess, Ryan, is to do something, to take action.
So that's a nugget, because I'm going to finish off here with that nugget is if someone was considering microdosing, or they need to make change with it, what would be the 3 nuggets that you would give them so they could actually educate themselves and, be effective with it?
Yeah, the first thing that I did was I went on YouTube and I started watching as many videos as possible, as well as on Instagram. Then I found a couple people that really resonated, that I connected with, and then I went and sought them. Because there's just so much information, it can be very overwhelming. I talk a lot on magicandglow.com. I have a whole library of videos on. Every week we did a live Zoom, and we have videos on what is psychedelics, how to microdose, how to safely source. So much information on magicandglow.com. And then, so I say number 1 is to do your research and find a couple people that you really resonate with, and then reach out to them, and ask questions and connect with them. I think that's the first step. And I'm going to leave it at that, because sometimes when you have too many steps, it's too overwhelming. Just do that step. And then the answer is the next steps will follow after that.
Actually go do, as you say. So
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, but before we do that, do you want people to go to which site to connect with you?
Oh my gosh. Connect with me on magicandglow.com or steamykitchen.com. Generally, I'm more active on magicandglow.com. That's because I have a team that runs Steamy Kitchen now. They're doing so amazing with the strategy, with the food blog and the food site. But, now my heart really goes into helping people with information on, microdosing as well as psychedelics.
Cool. I will make sure that's linked in the show notes. But first, thank you for coming on. Your energy, what you're doing is
thank you.
Is, as I say, cool, but you're real. You struggle with life. You're open about your struggles, and you want to get through them. And I hope for you guys that are listening or watching that you guys watch this several times, because there's a lot of great nuggets in here, but also there's somebody that's actually doing. And if you're sitting on the sideline, as I say, eating bonbons and watching Oprah, life doesn't change for you.
That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.